And that is one of the big questions that comes out is like, why are you showing this stuff? Aren't you just teaching the bad guys? No, the bad guys know how to do this.
Yeah.
But we're literally months away, I think, from real-time deepfakes being fully convincing and scary to the point where if you don't know what's going on, you will be the victim.
As intensely as you can.
C, D, E, F, G. All right, now you got to pull your face into frame. Let's see what you.
What? I look fabulous. This episode of The Modern Rogue brought to you by Privacy. Head on over to privacy.com/rogue. Sign up and get $5 on your first purchase. Just use that one. Just in case anybody in the audience isn't completely aware of the level of excellence and expertise we're dealing with, I just searched from an incognito browser, real-time deepfake. All that came up were unironic explanations of how to use real-time deepfake software for the purposes of scamming, oftentimes Westerners or Americans. And there was one exception, Perry Carpenter, the chief human risk management strategist at KnowBe4, the #1 HRM company on the planet. Did I get it?
I think you got it.
We've seen each other off and on several times over the years, but both of us are on fire with the looming threat of the AI apocalypse.
Yeah.
You talk about this in your book, FAIK, right?
Yeah, so that book was education and warning, and it was based in 3 different sections. So number 1 is like, how do you come up on AI? Like if you're a novice, how do you start to become conversant in intelligent ways so that people don't dismiss what you're thinking? Second, third is just fundamentals of deception, misdirection, kind of the history of why these tools can always be turned, no matter what the new tool set is. And then the third section is preparation. How do you educate yourself? How do you educate your family? And how do you be able to forecast what's coming?
Well, and that third part is what we're up to today, because I think in general, when it comes to phishing, everybody is aware that lots of phishing emails, lots of voice, we just did a voice cloning thing. But when I'm talking to people about security stuff, about 20 minutes into the Zoom call, I'll point out that I bet you did not consider the possibility that I'm not Brian Brushwood until this very moment.
We're really now on the cusp of being able to do real-time deepfakes in a convincing way. I don't think we're fully there yet. You can still do it, but we're literally months away, I think, from real-time deepfakes being fully convincing and scary to the point where if you don't know what's going on, you will be the victim.
Well, and there's a soft version of deepfakery that everybody is already familiar with, and that's that enhancement. If you ever see a too polished person in Zoom, they're using essentially digital makeup.
Yeah, they are. This gets into the detection problem, right? Because people are saying, well, if deepfakes are going to be really good, then we'll turn to technology and technology will tell us what's real or what's not. And the problem is it can't, because we are now in the space where you and I every day are wearing AI all over our face. We hit the little touch up my appearance button. You have friends on Instagram, you look through and they don't have pores on their face because they've used de-aging. They're wearing digital makeup. You're wearing all the other kinds of things. So AI is everywhere. There was a fairly well-known thwarting of a deepfake attack recently. So the CEO for Ferrari, somebody tried to deepfake his voice into a real-time phone call to one of his subordinates. Apparently it was actually pretty good, but the subordinate got this little gut feeling. It's like something isn't right. And they thwarted the attack by asking a simple question. They said, what was that book you recommended that I read last week? And that was enough to untangle the entire thing.
I am big on in-person events. And many people think of HR as like lawsuit mitigation or morale services. I am of the opinion that HR should be thought of as critical security. Because if you have an interesting holiday party, then in the initial throat clearing of every Zoom meeting for the rest of the year, you're not gonna call it a handshake security protocol. But if you're both laughing at so-and-so who spilled punch all over the place, then you can both be pretty certain that you're talking to the actual person.
Yeah, people realizing the fact that this old school, almost spycraft, call and response, one line of a poem, the other person says the other line, that is the new security in the digital era that we're in. Because the large language model hasn't been trained on that, your people that are going to scam you don't know the secret ingredient in your grandmother's chili. Those kinds of shared history and shared knowledge are going to be really important.
And it's doubly fascinating because when there's that shared mythology, shared history, neither party needs to ask anything direct. For example, let's say we're at a Christmas party and a friend of ours tripped and hit his elbow on a chocolate fountain, right? Then you might say, I wonder how Andrew's elbow's doing. And I'll say, I don't know. He probably hasn't gotten the stain out of his suit yet.
Right.
And then neither one of us talked about that moment explicitly, but we both know exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
The story doesn't have to be explicit. It can be implied in the modality. Like, for example, if I sent you an unusual looking photo, you instantly would think, oh, this is generative AI or whatever. But when I hand you what looks to be a Polaroid of something slightly unusual, it triggers the implied narrative that this was a casual photo, changes those things.
That's a really good point. You know, one of the things that is really interesting when it comes to like disinformation or narrative attacks, as some people call it now, if you want to make something feel real, like if I wanted to say, hey, the government has shut down this department, if I just put that out, or if I put out a really glossy picture of a person, that tells one story. But if I show a picture of a printout that says this office has been closed by the mandate of X on a door, that feels different. That feels visceral because there's a supposed piece of paper there. That implication of the analog, I think, is the big difference.
Well, and that's something that we do on this very channel. You know, there are VHS filters and digital ways to make it look like something is set in the 90s. Nothing is better than actually setting it up and actually get the footage of it.
Yeah.
Those added layers not only tell their own story, but they reduce the fidelity of the original thing to where that polish is harder to pick up on.
Right now, it's difficult to impersonate somebody that somebody else knows really well live for all the reasons that we talked about. You know, the reason that the Ferrari CEO one was thwarted was because that person knew him really well. And they might use a word that person wouldn't normally use. They might have a different tick, a different cadence in the way that they speak. All those kind of things are little giveaways, and the uncanny valley can start to feel real. People will still try to do it. I'm not going to try to, impersonate any real celebrity in a meaningful way, but one of the things that's really big right now is using a deepfake for romance scams or for fake employees trying to get hired and go through the interview process. And in that, I don't need to become Keanu Reeves or I don't need to become Taylor Swift. I just need to become somebody that looks different than me.
For example, female.
Yes, doing a catfish. Or I might just be another dude that is hitting on several different people. And I might even become several different people trying to see like
so if you're a creepy dude and there's somebody you're obsessing over, like a stalker, then you might swing and a miss once, and it's like, well, let me just use a different face.
I'll use a different face for this one.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, or I ping somebody on Facebook Messenger and I do the classic, I tried to contact you and it's a wrong person. And so then you get involved in a conversation because they go, oh, wrong person. Go, oh, well, thank you. That was really nice. I appreciate you being nice to me. I'm going through a hard time. I try to get them involved in a conversation, then try to move that usually from like Facebook Messenger to somewhere else.
So once we get into romance scams, the way they all work now is the reason the most popular versions start with text is because you can have many different people handing off this account, being the character, until finally it escalates to one person who is a persistent face. But now, if you have a deepfake that's shared, you could just hand that character around.
Yeah, and you're usually not having really long conversations with that face on, right? Because you're still aware of the problems, but you might have a 10, 15-second conversation, then go, oh man, the internet is horrible, again, where I am. Let me just go back to voice. So there's always ways to do that. But romance scams are a big use case, and then employee hiring scams. You'll hear people talk about DPRK scams.
Walk through this, because I can't believe that I only heard about this when I went to DEF CON.
Oh yeah, most of them come from North Korea, and they're North Korean fake IT workers. So you'll have a North Korean operative essentially apply at every job that they might be able to reasonably take. They'll go through the actual interview process, potentially wearing their own face, potentially wearing somebody else's, all with the thought of if they get hired, they're going to make more money than they would at North Korea, so that money then gets exported to North Korea. It basically inserts a sleeper. there.
Yeah, they
So
become a spycraft, right?
But in many cases, they're not even active. They're just there in case.
Just actively doing a good job.
Actively doing a good job.
So that 3 years from now, they can abuse that trust for something.
And they may be doing that same good job at 5 different companies at once, too. So they may be depriving themselves of sleep and working 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs to pull all that income, send that back to the home state, and then let's say they become active and it's like, oh, we need IP from this company.
As you were describing these, it's interesting how you see the same structures in playful ways like a magic trick, or in salesmanship, or in dark versions with scams and cons. And it occurs to me that if you had a sales team, you could have a sales avatar that is manned by several different sales reps that get handed around. Statistically, I bet you would see an increase in performance if you matched the race and gender identity of whoever it is you're trying to sell to.
All that is stuff that's being worked out in marketing organizations trying to figure out customer service.
Yeah. Customer service, I didn't even think about that. It's probably a more satisfying customer. You're probably more at ease if you're not worried about culture barrier.
You're thinking about culture barriers, body language barriers, just general gender sensitivities, all that kind of stuff comes up.
Now I go back to first principles, which is one thing I am certain for sure is that good actors should be playing with this stuff in a fun, jaunty way like we're about to do right now. In your original video, you had to do a lot of the legwork of going to GitHub, running software locally in not friendly user interfaces. You called it like folk technology versus
folk grade technology. So GitHub is a little bit, more than that. It wasn't that hard, but there's something just psychologically different about going to GitHub and downloading code. It's a hurdle that most people won't cross, and that friction people will believe keeps them safe from bad actors, because it's only going to be really, really motivated bad actors that would go through all that. Well, the problem is that friction doesn't exist anymore, and there's prepackaged software that anybody can download. Most people aren't dealing with like OBS types of environments and doing live streaming and everything else. So if we simplify the need to just the normal folk grade level, normal office worker, normal person with just a regular computer, what starts to look like folk grade is I just need an executable that I download, like any other executable, double click on that, install it, and then it automatically ports the camera over into Zoom.
It's using your webcam, and it just shows up as a virtual other camera that has a different face.
And it's a single image download for whatever face you want to wear. This will get surpassed by something else within a few months.
That's an important thing to remember, is the meta is always shifting. It looks very simple. Walk me through it.
Yeah, so this is pretty easy to understand. Over here, you can flip between any camera you've got hooked up to your computer. You also have a microphone input. If you click that, you could pick a filter for your voice that uses RBC, as far as I can tell, which is retrieval-based voice conversion.
Got it.
That has those latency problems that I told you about. There's also typically like artifacting in it, so I don't love it.
You can tell that somebody's up to something.
Sometimes. I mean, so the out for that, if you're the bad guy, is to say you're having VoIP issues, voice over IP connection issues. So there's always a frame you can go to, and I typically would get enough of the texture of the voice right, a couple key phrases, frame that really well, and then go, oh guys, sorry, my internet's having a hard time, I've got to go just to chat.
That narrative shaping where it's like, it's long enough to prove, and then you drop it because it's not interesting.
Yeah, just good enough, and it also capitalizes on that shared story that everybody knows, which is everybody has been in a crappy Zoom. Whenever I'm looking to put somebody's face on, I want to download multiple versions to see which one seems to feel better. I want to reinforce that all these are just single images, so if you can do a web search from somebody and their picture comes up, you can download their face and you can try to wear it.
Okay, I'll be over here.
Okay.
I want to see how you look as Brian Brushwood.
Okay, so we'll pick this one, and I'm gonna have to look at the camera.
Oh, wow.
So now, also, the thing is you don't wear these kind of glasses, so I might.
This is an important piece of it, is those little bits of accoutrement make a big difference. Boy, that is disconcerting. If I get in, will it apply the same face to two people?
Sometimes it does. Now, you might want to try to click a different face.
No, this is me on me. I just look puffier and more tired.
Nice.
Hello. Yeah, you can tell those Ryan Reynolds eyes.
Yeah.
Wow, and that smile.
So One of the things that you have to realize is that it does just change the face and the face structure. All the hair and things like that stay the same, right? So you have to adjust for that as the attacker.
If anything, boy, it's really wild to see the difference on there. If anything, as a magician, it gives me windows into, okay, what is the thing nobody's gonna bother to do?
Right.
And that's put on extra costuming.
When I travel, I carry a bag full of wigs.
Do you really?
Yeah.
This is great. Actually, you do a very good Harrison Ford. Hold on. Let me sit with this Harrison Ford. I want to do a card trick for you, like David Blaine now.
Yeah. And what do you guys get the fuck out of my house?
Yes. That is so easy.
Now the other thing.
Actually, hold on. That is a fine Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah.
Give him Nicolas Cage. You got to do the. Oh my God. Oh, I don't know. Just say the alphabet as intensely as you can.
C, D, E, F. G.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So now that looks like a completely different guy than me, right?
Let's see, it's showing here that we're dropping to 17 frames per second. Yeah, okay, we have Chekhov's Taylor Swift here.
Right, yeah, you gotta get Taylor.
It's pretty good.
There's a little bit of chin hair, but if you're a dedicated attacker, you're gonna shave, right?
Yeah, and oh, this is great. So because you have the wig, the bangs match really well.
Right, yeah.
Whereas this other face, so you do want to pick a face that's custom to it.
Right.
Yeah, that one doesn't quite
All right, now
blend.
you gotta pull your face into frame. Let's see what you
What? I look fabulous. It was meant to be. Wow.
Now you can click that. That'll take it to a lower res, but it doesn't look good.
But do you get an increase?
It can obfuscate a few things. This button up here, there's a little bit of what they would call protection.
Oh, so anybody can get this for free with the watermark on there. No, but this is great. Now I feel go do this for free.
With that one, if I put my hand in front of my face, you can with it off, you can see the mask bleed a little bit through.
Yeah.
But with it on, that's more of a newer technology where it pulls in the face and the mask quite a bit more.
Yeah.
So it increases the tolerance.
The
other thing with that off, if you're framing this as the attacker, you're gonna find subtle proofs that you can do psychologically. Like if somebody's been told that within a deepfake, if you do like this, you're gonna see the mask. So I might just subconsciously, for a second, kind of, do something that seems to disprove.
And you want to do it before they ask.
If I'm the attacker, I'm going to proactively have a drink in front of you. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink real fast when you're not looking. So you'll go, oh, you've already, that person psychologically already seen something in front of my face, but I'm in control of the way that it's happened.
Yeah, you did it in a managed way. That is better than I expected. Oh, wow, that was amazing. We're saying two things simultaneously. We're saying, yes, play with magicam. No, don't do scams.
Right.
Try to fool people, but do it so that you will recognize it a mile away.
Absolutely. So once you start playing with this stuff, you get conditioned for the things naturally to look at because they're the things that you've tried to fix with yourself. So again, you're going to see like my hair and everything. Maybe you don't want to do elaborate wig stuff and carry hair around with you, but a hat fixes everything, right? That's hard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that fixes a ton of stuff.
And so that seems to work on two levels. One, it creates a clear line of demarcation, but also it's a thing to notice about you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. If I'm going to deep fake, I'm always going to be thinking about how do I create the psychological frame, the conditioning that I need? Know the things that are within somebody's worldview, right? Because if you can play to that, any defect within the way that the deepfake is coming out, you can find an explainable reason. Everybody knows that VoIP issues happen or IP internet issues happen on calls, so you can use that as a ditch.
Let's say you are slightly suspicious and you don't want to do the awkward social thing of saying, prove to me you're not a deepfake.
Yeah, that gets harder, right? Because all the things that we know that goes wrong on these calls are things that can go wrong with deepfakes. Audio and video can go out of sync. Which is a really common thing with deepfakes. It's hard to get the timing for deepfake audio to match the timing for the video. Now, I would say, like in this, when I'm opening and closing my mouth, it doesn't always match well. Same thing with like my blinking, looks a little bit off. I hate to give anything as a definite tell because that's going to get fixed really quick.
Let's say I'm on a phone call with you and I'm suspicious, but I don't want to tip it. I might ask, why is there a seashell over there? Let me see that.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, no, show me the thing. And then when it comes back, there's that brief moment where you might be able to catch it.
That's a really good point. So one of the problems that some of these have is adhesion problem to the side. Now this one does pretty good, right? That's staying pretty well as I
as I
do that. There's other programs like this that in the little safety button that you can click doesn't just tighten it up, but if it knows that the mask is about to slip off, it freezes. So it stays on the last known good frame.
Which is a type of mask. It literally masks the slipping of the mask.
Yeah.
Experiments like this are very important to me because oftentimes the time that an employee is supposed to rise to the challenge and do something very socially awkward and say, no, don't put that USB in there, is when it actually matters.
Yeah.
You need to practice and be bad in a safe place. The question everyone's gonna ask is, why are you teaching the tools of fakers? And the answer is because honest brokers need to play just like two tiger cubs engage in rough and tumble play. They're developing the skills that make them deadly predators and excellent defenders.
Absolutely.
That's what good citizens need to do.
Yeah, and that is one of the big questions that comes out is like, why are you showing this stuff? Aren't you just teaching the bad guys? No, the bad guys know how to do this.
Yeah, so everyone should read FAIK. I'm just gonna decide that we're promoting your book. FAIK is fantastic. Thank you so much, Barry.
Thank
this
you.
is a blast. I liked you in Star Wars.
I also did.
No, he didn't. Hey, Brandt, have you ever had a credit card stolen?
I have not.
What, really? You know, now do you think it's a matter of if or just when?
I think I'm just that good.
Okay, wait, you know that it's not a skill issue, right? Because you know you give that credit card information out to a place and then you just have to trust that they'll never get hacked. Have you opened a newspaper and heard, well, you probably hadn't heard from the newspaper. Actually, nowadays newspapers talk. Things get hacked. That's my point. My point is sooner or later, if you give someone a number, it's gonna leak. If you've never had a credit card stolen, you don't know how miserable it is to have to go back from scratch and cancel a bazillion different ongoing subscriptions. But with privacy, you set up merchant locked cards. So the so-and-so card can only be used by the so-and-so business. One for, I don't know, Netflix or Amazon. And then when the news comes out that one of them got hacked, you just a bloop, and then that card goes away. You don't have to affect any of the other ones. It's not just merchant locked cards. You can create burner cards that just evaporate or single time use cards. They got free plans where you can generate up to 12 cards per month for free. It's perfect for budgeting, for security, and peace of mind. And best of all, you get $5 for free if you go to privacy.com/rogue, ROGUE. That'll get us credit for it, and you will get $5 on your first purchase. Or I guess you could just try to be lucky. Do you feel lucky, Brandt?
This all sounds like something that a low-skill person would say.
Okay, it's not a skill issue.
This episode was brought to you in part by viewers like you over at patreon.com/modernrogue, where you can watch this episode, but largely unedited, and you'll be able to hear Brian and Perry's full 50-plus minute conversation. So if you liked this episode, you'll be getting even more of it over there.
So the other one that's fun to do, you can keep Nicolas Cage on for this, but now the problem with carrying hair in a bag is that it gets tangled.
Yeah, that is the only problem.
That's the only problem.
No, you don't have to worry about explaining it to anyone. You don't have to worry about questioning how you ended up here.